Today's video is going to be about the violence that we all, pretty much all, unless you live in absolute podunk and you never have to go to a city, we all have to confront, live with, and find ways to avoid. Now here's a perfect example. Over in Shreveport, there's a big lumberyard called Sutherland's, and every year they have this half-price flower, vegetables, bushes, trees sale. And this year we're going to go. But to get there, we have to carefully think how we're going to get there and expose ourselves to the least amount of danger. And here's why. All the way around this lumberyard, if you approach it from the north, from Interstate 20 and go down Hearn Avenue, there's murders and shootings on Hearn Avenue, not every day, but often enough where, unless you absolutely have to go down that street, you'd be a fool too. Otherwise, if there's any other way. And then this lumberyard is not far from a neighborhood called Cedar Grove. And anybody who lives within probably 100 miles of Shreveport is familiar with Cedar Grove. And what it is a little Detroit or a little Chicago. Murders, shootings, drugs, prostitution, and violence every single day of every day of the year. And we know a cop that works that beat, and it's a place where if you don't absolutely have to go there, like you live there, then you would avoid it at all costs. So there's so many different directions you could come from, and all but one of them you absolutely have to avoid if you don't want to be caught up in the daily violence that occurs there. And that's just part of living in today's America. There's pockets of people whose life revolves around violence. And I don't think there's any other modern countries, not third world, modern countries that have to deal with this on a daily basis. And my wife and I, we do live in podunk, but we're well-traveled and we're not naive. For 11 years we were in Los Angeles for half of the week and stayed the weekends out there. So we're familiar with the savages that you have to avoid. Anyway, stay tuned for the rest of this is just the beginning. See you in a bit. What was that, hon?
I said Part A.
Part A, yeah. Watching the morning news, and the area that we were in the other day to go get the plants that I mentioned that, you had to go armed and you had to figure out a safe way to get in there, or the safest way to get in here, because you're not safe in that area. Well, this morning, last night actually, on this morning's news, there was 2 shootings in that area yesterday. And one shooting was just blocks away from where we were, and the other shooting was a little further to the west of that. So Shreveport has just become a little Detroit and a little Chicago. It's every night there's a shooting or 2. And you can't go anywhere without being strapped, as the kids say. You empty?